Welcome back, guys, to a follow-up video here on the question mark channel with the first impressions. Like I said, I was going to come back and try to do a follow-up video like the rest of the first impressions that kind of show you what I was feeling after playing the game for 10 to 20 hours. I just finished the game not that long ago, and I've actually started a new game plus playthrough. So I wanted to bring you guys in to kind of give you a feeling of how I felt about it and what my thoughts as a kind of new player to this sort of shop running dungeon crawling genre that did have some story element. As I've said in the past, I am a story driven guy, so I do like the stories of video games, and I wanted to give this one a try because it was free for PlayStation, keeping in mind that I am a PlayStation user, so that's where all of my games come from. That's where my experience is going to show from. But we're going to jump right into this. So from first impressions video of the first video, I definitely felt that I was going to enjoy it. I just didn't know how much or to what extent that I was going to want to play it continuing going forward, especially when I just came off the Cult of the Lamb game. But good news, I did really enjoy it. There was a huge learning curve when it came to combat inside the dungeons, as well as kind of like the pricing of the items for when you do the dungeon stuff. I am in New Game Plus, so I have these like +1 amulets, and as well as the selling prices being higher than what you would expect, especially for items like, let's see here, the like vines. They normally go for like $6 or so on the main game. The PlayStation, not PlayStation, the New Game Plus for this game, they increased the values by a specific amount, which I'll get to later. But figuring out the prices and stuff were a little interesting. To be completely honest, I ended up just looking up like a guide of what the good prices were. That's why these are where they are, where it's like, oh, this is like the perfect price. I didn't play around, no too high or too low. Because by the end of my first playthrough, I ended up with just going into that guide and just saying screw it. I can see how it would be a fun aspect, but I ended up just tapping out because I was like, you know what? It's not for me. Finding out if it was too high or too low was just not for me. If the prices were too high, they wouldn't buy it. And the prices were too low, they'd be like, heck yeah, I'm really gonna buy it. Which is that, I think I had one that was really low. Yeah, this one here, like the Golem King Johnny, like, oh my goodness, 9,000 is really cheap for that. I'm gonna take it. But if it's too high, like something like those vines, where it was that 16 price, yeah, like down here where it was 16, on the far right, they're like, heck no, this is way too expensive, I'm not gonna buy it at all. 15 is like, I'll buy it, but it's a little too much. And then that 13 was like, oh, that's a good price, that's fine. But I did enjoy it. The story was kind of cool towards the end. I didn't see it coming. I did see like the dimensional stuff happening, but I didn't see the actual ending. I'm not going to spoil it since this is like a first impressions of whether or not you would be interested. The story was good, but weird, which kind of leads credence to the type of game that it is. So with that being said, it makes it seem a little negative, but it's actually pretty funny. The comedy was there, the humor was there. It was good. It was really short for me. I personally thought I was going really slow, taking my time, looking through things, trying to find things, figuring out, you know, the secrets, that sort of stuff. I thought I was going really slow, but weirdly, my playtime was 8 hours, which is kind of crazy because there was 2 achievements for playtime length, which is beat it within 40 minutes or 40 hours. And then the like speed runner in quotes was beat it within 10 hours. So like I said, I thought I was going fairly slow and I still beat it within 8 hours. So I'm not sure how much like dawdling they thought was going to happen. Maybe I just kind of went straight through the story where they expect you to run through the dungeons multiple times, where I only ran through the dungeons in length probably once, maybe twice. On my New Game Plus playthrough, I'm going to play through and go through the dungeons as much as possible. to unlock all the achievements, which is like go through each dungeon 10 times, defeat 1,000 enemies per dungeon. A big one that I want to do, I'm a huge like pet collector in games, so I want to get all these pets, which they do serve a purpose. We'll go over in just a second. I want to get all these pets. There's an achievement for getting all of the different types of weapons. I'm not sure if it's like get to the end of this weapon, get to the end of this weapon and this weapon for all of them, but it does say like get all the gauntlets, get all the bows, get all the spears, which I am going to go ahead and do, especially if it keeps my interest if a game doesn't come out. There's nothing for the armor, but that's something I am going to do. Like I said, as my first impressions, I just kind of blitzed through. Now I'm really into it with my New Game Plus playthrough, and I want to do all of this kind of stuff. So overall, just to kind of make that long story shorter, do I recommend Moonlighter for someone that hasn't played this type of game? Yes. Do I recommend sitting there in the shop and trying to figure out these prices? If that's something you want to do and like you've got some time to kill and you're not doing a video series on it and need to get another one out as quick as possible, yeah, absolutely do it. If you want to use a guide for those prices like I ended up doing, do it. It was a lot of fun. The dungeons were not too difficult, but there was a learning curve. I had to learn how to use the weapon. I had to learn that, you gotta upgrade your equipment. You've got to get the better stuff per dungeon, and it makes a huge difference. So yes, highly recommend it for anyone that can do it. There was some negatives that I had that I did kind of explain on the first video that I'm going to refresh here. The accessibility. You can change your control layout with that kind of like button prompting, but there's no like infinite health. There's no longer invincibility windows for the people that do need that sort of thing for like disabilities. Cult of the Lamb had a really good one where they had infinite, pretty much mana, infinite health. The day-night cycle didn't swap. That helps people that, if number one, doesn't have the time to be able to just grind out a game and they just want to enjoy a game without dying over and over again, or they have a physical disability that makes it difficult for them to play games like this that require multiple button prompt inputs that are kind of in quick succession, where you kind of have to move and dodge at the same time to be able to perform a dodge. Did I accidentally change something? I don't think I did. Okay, like this, you can dodge the way you're facing, but if you're moving and dodging at the same time, you can input very quickly, as well as diagonals. Some people don't have the physical dexterity for that, so that's a little weird. Overall, I get it though. I'm not sure this game was made with that in mind, but it's also, the controls are fairly simple. So yes, highly recommend it. Overall, in these videos, I do end up with some tips and tricks that I like to tell you guys that I've learned from playing the games. So the first tip that I have that I can think of right off the bat that was the most important was coming over to the potion woman and understanding how the potions work, but also understanding how the enchantments work. So the potions here up at the top, you'll see there's two versions of each potion. One is going to require a material from the dungeon. One is going to require just money. So from this item in particular, you get it from the slimes of the first dungeon, which is the Golem dungeon. You can have this consumable item plus 665 gold to create a potion. Or you can just buy it right out for 2,000 gold. You don't have to worry about that. Here, it's the first and second dungeon's slimes, or just gold. For this one in particular, it's the first dungeon and the third dungeon. This one is the first dungeon and the fourth dungeon. You can tell that it's restoring more health percentage-wise based on each potion, but you can just buy it if you have the money. So that's really cool. I did not end up using these potions because I really didn't feel like I needed to, but they are very good potions. So these are the second, third, and fourth slimes drops. They make it to where you heal 100% of your health. You've got the fireflies, which guide you to the boss room. Then your map unlocked. So these two work kind of separate from each other. This is a hint of, oh, this is kind of the way to go for each dungeon, and this is the way to go for each dungeon. You can tell it's twice the money, so it's whether or not you have the income for it. Each dungeon has their own. You'll see here fireflies for golem, map reveal for golem, fireflies for forest, map reveals for forest, fireflies for desert, map for desert, fireflies for tech, and then map reveal for tech. So those allow you to be able to just reveal the map, go straight to it. This goes, oh, here's a path to the boss room without revealing the map, revealing some of the secrets. So I did not use these. I might start using these towards my new playthrough just to kind of get through it. But these potions are highly, highly recommended, especially if you've got the capital to be able to purchase the more expensive ones. You can only carry a specific amount at a time, which is 5 potions per slot. So I personally like to come here, I'll buy a potion. I have some small ones here, and you do have to equip your potions onto your use side over here, your equipment, because when you go into combat, you can't get into your bag to pull those potions out. So equip them before you even leave for the dungeon so you don't forget. Beyond that, being like one of the most important things is healing potions. It's the enchantments. So what that does is you've got these crystals over here that is only an item drop from dungeon monsters. You can't buy them, which I will show you that shop here in a little while, I believe, if the day and video link doesn't go too far. But it's an only in dungeon drop, so you have to kill monsters to be able to do this. But it is one of the most important things to be able to get through these bosses. I'm thinking that's what allowed me to beat it within 10 hours at that 8-hour mark. Is just I kept everything enhanced. So what it is that you'll take your base item. So we'll use the broom here just because I haven't done too much with it. So you have your broom, which is considered a spear. You take it and this is what you start with, but you use those gems plus money, of course, to increase damage usually. So you'll see there with this large sword that the damage on the left is 3712. Keep in mind I am on New Game Plus, so the values are a little skewed towards those new enemy difficulties. 3712, and it increases it to 4213, which is a significant increase. That's 500 points of damage, which is absolutely insane, especially when you're on the first playthrough. It's a huge increase. I'm pretty sure it's a percentage-based increase, but you can upgrade multiple times. So on the broom, I've upgraded it twice, I think, and on the big sword, I think I've upgraded it once already. So you can multiply the upgrades exponentially up into like +2 or +3, something like that. So you can do like where it says in the top right corner, wild big sword +1. I think it gets to a wild big sword +++1, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong, but you can upgrade it multiple times is what I'm saying. So you can get very strong very quickly just by going through the dungeons a couple of times. Your armor is upgradable as well. You'll notice that there is a steel helmet +1+, which is, and then it shines. If you'll notice, like every once in a while, just that shiny thing, that means it's enhanced. That will then allow you to, it gains more like defense and stuff. So I think this doesn't show you, no, it doesn't. So it just gives you more defense, which is definitely good. You're not taking as much damage, but the biggest one is going to be your weapons so that you're able to do more damage. If you're killing things before they can hit you, then you're good to go. You do have your ring slots here that are very good, but it's kind of difficult to get rings. You just kind of go through the dungeons and the bosses will drop the rings. So first things first, buy potions. Second thing, get your weapon and upgrade them with the enchanting. When it comes to weapons, I've only played through with the big sword, which is just the highest damage weapon. I always tend to go for higher damage, so I've only done the big sword here. So I'm going to go through and play with all of them here in a little while as I play through the New Game Plus, but you'll see that as you upgrade them, 3712, 6221, 10,000. Higher damage, the materials are from the dungeon that you're running. So this is the Golem dungeon, this is the Forest dungeon, Desert dungeon, and then Tech dungeon. So you have to go through the dungeons to be able to get the parts and pieces for it. When you go to New Game, these unlock, which allow you to use I don't know if there's any special traits to them, but they match the damage. So you'll see here it's 1244 for the base. This row is going to be your like status element one. So you've got confusion here, poison, fire, and shock. These are like the elemental blades, where these are your like raw DPS blades. Everything's got it, so raw DPS, then you've got your element on top. So even at the highest, you sacrifice 2,000 damage points, but you do gain an elemental damage, which I don't know if it's any good, but I'm sure it's got a point to be here. This doesn't have that, so I don't know what's the point. Is it supposed to replace this raw damage, or is there some hidden trait that I'm unaware of? I'm gonna probably... I don't have my broken sword. Yeah, so I need another broken sword. So I might make those just to play around with it, but it wasn't important to beat the game. On top of that, you do have your armor here that has 3 different sets, which is like your light, medium, and heavy set. So you've got here, you've got like your fabrics, you've got your rods, and then you've got your steel. So they do the light, medium, and heavy. You'll see up in the top right there that the light gives you health, no extra damage, no extra defense, but it does give you that plus movement. So it makes you lighter to make it faster. This just gives you defense, and this gives you defense for less movement. So like I was trying to say, the light armor is physically light armor. You don't get as much defense, meaning health, but you do move faster. This is a middle ground, and this is your high defense, low movement. Personally, I go for the higher defense because a lot of what I do is jumping around inside the dungeons. So I don't end up moving like this very often unless I'm just running in between rooms. I jump all the time. So I don't need to worry about movement speed because you're also invulnerable during these kind of animations, and it allows you to just move on. So I do a lot of high health and then a lot of heavy damage. That's just kind of the way that I play. But get whatever weapon that you like and you'll enjoy it. And there is that learning curve that you'll want to do. So sit there and don't get discouraged. I was pretty discouraged at the beginning there. And like, oh my gosh, why am I so bad at this game? But it just took me learning how the enemies move and how to do what I need to do and have that learning curve. So just sit down and enjoy it, learn the game, learn the enemies. Beyond that, I did tell you that like there's a shop up here. It's closed at night, but during the day, you can come here and anything that you've sold, you can buy more of it. And it's good if you just don't want to grind out the pieces or parts, but they're extremely expensive. Something that you would sell for 200 gold, you'd have to buy it from him for like 2,000 gold. It's insanity. Yeah, if you've got the capital, go for it. And that's probably what I'll do once I get to the ending dungeon, to like craft some of these more early game weapons so that I can just kind of make this, blitz through this line, make this, blitz through this line, and just kind of go down and get that achievement. But that's for the achievement hunting, and I'm just going to do it because it'll be easier than going through the dungeons a bunch of times. But that is what it is. But you can buy it, say, if you're just, oh man, I really wanted this piece of armor, or let's say you wanted this specific helmet and you only had one, or you had all of it but one, you can just run over there and buy it real fast. You don't have to go through the dungeon just for one item. You can just buy it from him. Keep in mind that you can rebuy armor and the amulets and stuff that you've sold. So if I was to sell, say, this ring, I'm like, oh dang, I didn't mean to sell that, he'll sell it back to you, but keep in mind at that higher price. So the amulets, I think you can only get one of each amulet, so if you sell it, you lose it. He'll be able to buy it back. On top of that, I'm pretty sure weapons as well. I'm going to try that here in a minute to see if you sell, like, say, the base helmet, can you just buy 4 of them without having to make, like, this weapon? I don't have to get all those materials to then create another one to make all these weapons. Can I just buy this, make this, buy this, and then make this and see what happens? So we'll try that later, but that's on the point. Other than that, we have, I like to do tips and tricks of how to play the game. So pets, always get the pets. I personally like collecting pets just because it's fun, but each pet does a certain thing. So you'll see here, the turret shoots a stream of water, the repair golem, made to collect materials and repair golems with them. They do things. This one will literally shoot a beam of water at enemies. This one will pick up materials and bring them to you. I love this one, the tiny slime from the golem dungeon. It stuns. So what it'll do is it'll move to the monster and stun them. The cool thing about it that I noticed at the end of the game, there's no real cooldown period. So the very last boss of the game, it was able to stun lock the boss, and meaning the slime sat on the boss and just stunned it. I was wailing on it, and then the stun would go away and it would stun him immediately. So it literally stun locked the final boss of the game. This is one of the first pets that you can get, and you get them by just going through the dungeon multiple times, and there's a percentage chance that the enemy, in this case, the slime enemies, kill a bunch of slimes. Eventually, they'll drop a slime's egg, and after a couple of in-game days, the slime will be created into a pet. You're able to then use them. So I'm going to go through and just get all these pets for collection reasons, but there is a good reason to get these pets. My personal favorite is going to be the tiny slime. I've heard that the mimic here, able to attack nearby enemies and carry items inside of it. The mimic is a very good pet because even if you die in the dungeons, whatever you put inside the mimic continues over. So you don't have to worry about losing those items. With that being said, when it comes to your bag and your person, there is a difference. There's the person slot up here with these 5, and then there's the bag with these 15 slots. If you complete the dungeon, you don't have to worry about it. If you die in the dungeon, whether it's through normal means or the boss killing you, you have these 5 top that you keep. Think about it. This top is your pockets, like your physical, your pants pockets, your shirt pockets, whatever. Your bag, however, let's think about it as like when you die in the dungeon, you drop your bag and then they kick you out. You lose your bag, but you get to keep what's in your pockets. So you also do get to keep what's on physically equipped to your person, so you don't have to worry about any of these items over here. You just have to worry about these items here. So you keep the top row, you lose the bottom 3 rows when you die. You keep everything if you either beat the dungeon or you use these 2 items down here to leave the dungeon. There is a difference between these 2 as well. This is a merchant's pendant you pick up from the first level of the dungeon. You pick it up before you even get to see like what your shop is about. So you can't avoid getting this early on. This allows you to leave the dungeon in exchange for gold. It's a pretty low amount of gold. It's like 1,000 for the first floor, and then it increases exponentially from there, like 2,000, 3,000, and then in the other later dungeons it gets more expensive. Then this one you get from the 3rd level of the first dungeon. So if you complete the first dungeon, you gain all of these things. So you don't have to worry about it. You get them fairly early on. This, you give even more money to create a portal. So what that's going to do is you give like, where it would be 1,000 for your pendant, it's like 3,000 for your portal. That allows you to drop a portal down, return to town, do whatever you need to. Say you want to stock up on potions, you want to go ahead and get some more money because you got your items in your bag and you want to sell them to get some more money. That creates a portal. Then it allows you to, right over here, return to the floor that you once left from. So that allows you to leave, sell your stuff, restock, and then return back to where you were in that dungeon, which is very useful for the later floors in the dungeon, because I can usually get through the first and second layer or level of the dungeon, and then the 3rd level I'm really hurting, I'm out of potions, I need to restock before I hit the dungeon boss. Each dungeon does have 3 floors, which is one for floor 1 with the mini boss, floor 2 with the mini boss that's a bit stronger, floor 3 has the dungeon boss that allows you to get the key for that 5th and final door. So the portal is very useful if you have enough money for it. Personally, you're probably going to go ahead and fill up your bag while exploring through the dungeon. I will go through first floor, beat the mini boss, get into the 2nd floor, drop a portal, come back, restock, sell my stuff, return to 2nd floor, complete 2nd floor, go to 3rd floor, drop a portal down, rinse and repeat. Come back to the town, sell my stuff, restock my potions, go back to the third floor, complete the dungeon. That's probably why I was able to complete it pretty quickly. Because while I was doing that, I would also try to look and upgrade my weapons for each dungeon, get the enhancements on it, move on to the next dungeon. So I was able to do it pretty quick. But this video has gone on for quite a bit of time. I may follow up with another quick video here in the next couple days with the tips and tricks of inside the dungeon, of how the chests work, the bags work, the hidden rooms, that sort of stuff. If you want to see that type of video, hit like on this one and leave me a comment saying, you know, you would like to see a tips and trick video, and any kind of things that you might prefer, or any play styles. I am still going through getting the achievements, so if you have any tips on how to kind of grind out specific achievements that you may have thought was hard, leave those in the comments as well. And once I get the platinum, I'll come back and kind of give a review of how it felt to get all those and how long it took. Keep in mind, I'm at about 9 hours, maybe 10 hours in total between the two playthroughs. So we'll use that as a kind of gauge of I'm at 10 hours. We'll come back at the end of all of it and see how long it took, playtime wise, of how long it took me to get all the achievements. So with that being said, if you liked the video and want to see more, hit like. If you want to leave any tips, tricks, or games that you would like me to play on PlayStation Plus, leave those in the comments. And if you want to see more videos, whether it's playthroughs, Inscription, or these first impressions, go ahead and subscribe. Alright guys, as always, we'll see ya.